pretty neat. It's a realistic elevator, so how did I make it? You get in, the doors close, and your entire cubicle goes down. And the doors open. So, we'll go to the start. The entire premise of this elevator that I've designed is this flying machine. You update it on one of the observers and it will go down. This works because one observer will update one piston from a change, like that, and that will pull the next bit, which is honey blocks like this, to it, like this, or push it, either way. So you can see push, pull, and then when that moves, we'll have an observer and a piston here pulling blocks on this side. This honey block is attached, that we're in it, but there you go. Pull it in, and it'll just repeat that over and over again and fly off to infinity until it's stopped by a non-movable block, like crying obsidian, or furnaces, or dispensers. So we can also expand this by just pulling a block on top, like this quartz slab, and then it'll push up the quartz slab. And yeah, obviously I need to do this quartz slab to update it now. But that's the basic premise of how this works. And then I had to come up with a way to put multiple of these together, like this. So this crazy contraption is literally just these, and then there's just mirrored on the other side. And we're using slime and honey blocks because slime blocks will pull blocks, but not honey blocks. And honey blocks will also pull blocks, but not slime blocks. So it can pull up to 12 blocks, but it won't touch the slime blocks. So that's why we can put the flying machines next to each other like this. And as long as they all go off at the same time, they will all push up at the same time. So they're pushing these slabs here, which are pushing these slabs here, which is pushing the glass, and this prismarine slab, and it'll push it upwards. So if we set all of them off at the same time with these redstone lamps, it all just pushes up. And the reason this pushes up in the middle is the trapdoors are actually on these blocks. So it's actually pushing up blocks like this, going up to this slab. But obviously if we fold them to the side, we've basically got a 2 wide room inside. So that's how I came up with a sort of cool elevator cubicle design that was easy to push up using this flying machine. Obviously, we don't just want to go up, we want to go back down. So the way we can go back down is by activating the flying machine observers on top to push that one down, and I forgot to activate this side apparently. Whoops. Anyway, so if these pistons had activated properly, that would have all pulled down like the rest of it has, and then you can just set it off again, and it'll go back up, and then it'll get stuck on these. Oh no, it's actually gone back in place, that's nice. But obviously, as this flying machine goes down, it won't pull this elevator with it. So what we actually have to do is build one of these on top. So here's a more working model. We've got the one underneath and the one on top. And I'm using lava in dispensers to activate the observers. So again, for the going up, your floor we actually have to use crying obsidian or something you can't push. So your floor would be like this. And then firstly, we have to push up the top one, like that. And then we activate the bottom one to push the elevator up to your next floor, which would be like here. Similarly, on the way down, we just push the flying machine at the bottom down out of the way. And then we push the top one so that it pushes the cubicle down to the bottom. But obviously, we need this glass to open up so we can get through. So you could just put more trapdoors at the front instead as your kind of doors. But obviously that isn't very elevator-like. If we're going for realism, you'd want doors that actually close. So here's the doors that actually close. So they have to be double extenders because there are slime and honey blocks that go out on each side because of how the flying machines are. So if we had pistons like here, they'd just get pulled up with these honey blocks upwards. So as the elevator went up, you'd end up with your pistons being here. Now, come to think of it, I could actually do a design which pulls the pistons up with the elevator, and then that's how you do the doors. But I don't know, that just seems like a pain. So instead we just use these double extenders that just push out once using these observers. So the delays are just such that the observers come out second and then go back first. So it just pushes them one block or pulls them out one block. So you're not left with weird gaps at the side. And then you can walk in. And we also need those to activate. When you go in, they need to close. And obviously when you reach the floor you want, they need to open. So you can get out, so they need to pull it open automatically. So the way we do that is there is an observer on top of the elevator. This one is a bit messed up, unfortunately. There's a prismarine. There's this stuff at the side, it's all been pushed downwards, so something clearly went terribly wrong last time I did this, but we can show it on this one. So we've got this block, that this observer is on top of the top flying machine. So we walk in, and then here's the flying machine above that pushes it down. And when that reaches the bottom, it will set off this orange chain, which will go to the yellow, and the yellow does the doors. So if we just set off the yellow, there you go, that'll just activate the doors. So we've just got it so that the observer touches the orange circuit, which will activate the doors when it gets to the bottom. So for our top floor, we've got the same thing. The observer will activate this block here when it reaches the top, which will go down the orange and go to the yellow. And there's a big delay because the top gets there first and then the elevator comes up, so we need to time it right so that the doors get pulled out of the way. So here's what the full elevator looks like in action. So we actually use double extenders, not lava, in dispensers to activate the top bit to make it go up. And then the doors close and the bottom bit gets activated with redstone lamps at the bottom, and that gets pushed up. So it all gets pushed up to the top, and you can see the orange circuit activating, which does the doors, and the doors are open, and you can go down. And then on the way down, first things first, double extender sends the bottom bit down, and the doors close, and then the top bit goes. So it's all pretty fast. It's not the fastest way to go up and down, but it does look cool as hell. The only thing is you have to be careful with what blocks you have, because again, if there's honey and slime blocks going past blocks, you need non-pushable blocks like this crying obsidian or furnaces. But yeah, you end up with a pretty cool elevator at the end of it. So we're basically in a box that's being pushed from underneath, and a bit on top is just going up above us. And then on the way down, the bit that pushed us up gets sent off, and the bit at the top will push us back down. And that's the entire way this elevator works. And that was all from this first fly machine. We just put a bunch of those in a row and activate them at the right time, and you end up with this crazy contraption. So because it's just flying machines, there's no actual redstone going from the top to the bottom. There would be if you made it so you could activate the bottom from the top. So if I wanted it so that you could send it down, like if you're on multiplayer, say, then obviously it's not very helpful for me if I'm on this floor and the elevator is down there. So you can add a circuit going down and just activating the green down here. But if you don't do that, if you're just on a single player world, so you'll only be going either up or back down, and it's only you, then you can just put this as high as you want and not have any redstone between. All that matters is there's space for the flying machines to go up where they need to, like so. So the circuits at the back, I don't know if I want to do a tutorial, to be honest. It's a bit of a pain to build. But for the doors, you just push the observers out at the same time as these back pistons. Then it will push this block out. And when it retracts back, then we just pull the observers in first. So the bottom observer isn't pushing out, which is a bit odd. It's because it's connected up here, that's why. It's because it was connected up here with redstone dust. It still works, I'm pretty sure. And then we're just retracting these back, this double extender back after the observer, so it doesn't get a sell off a second time, so it'll only push the blocks one block So we just add a big delay using repeaters for the second flying machine to get sent off, because that means there's time for the doors to shut, like this. And then the first flying machine, which is too big to be pushed as well as the one underneath, the big flying machine will just get sent off. And the reason I did these separate blocks instead of just using the ceiling there is because otherwise the ceiling, if there was any lag, the ceiling would go off first. Or if it lagged and the ceiling went off too slowly, then the bottom flying machine would try and push it up and would get stuck on this one. So that's why I've sort of separated them and made one get sent off way earlier than the other one. So again, this one gets sent off first, and then after a little while this gets pushed up, so there's this big gap in between. So just a bunch of things to make it reliable, because I actually built this on a multiplayer world, on the survivor world we used recently, so you can see that in the episode linked. And yeah, if you want to build one of these yourself or come up with a better design, please show me. I love seeing people's redstone stuff because it gives me stuff to use in my world. I've been Aiden, and thanks for watching.